David Zritsky for the Bond Experience. Welcome back for a special flash news report. Yes, totally unprepared. Look at me, no fineries. I'm just sitting here talking to you about the latest news. And what is the latest news? Well, at a BAFTA event, we of course had Barbara Broccoli in a particular interview say some very interesting quotes. And unless you've been under a rock, you probably have seen them, but we're going to actually read them verbatim. And here it goes. Nobody's in the running. We're working out where to go with him. We're talking that through, in reference to Bond. There isn't a script, and we can't come up with one until we decide how we're going to approach the next film, because really it's a reinvention of Bond. We're reinventing who he is, and that takes time. I'd say that filming is at least 2 years away. And suddenly, the Bond community, the internet, the news bulletins were all agog. And we were all discussing, talking, comments. I posted a share from the Bond Bulletin. He had a great little video, and I think it's got something like 10,000 views and over 200 comments just overnight. Clearly, this is important. And what I thought I would do is take a moment just to break it down a little bit from my point of view. And again, this is from my point of view. When I first heard this, let me talk about first impressions of the news. I remember it distinctly, and all I could think about was two aspects, very naturally: time and wording, vernacular. And I focused on the reinvention. First of all, the time, the fact that she didn't say that a film would come out in 2 years. She said that they wouldn't start filming to at least 2 years from now, that they really need to think about it, talk about it, because it's a reinvention of Bond. So first of all, it was the fact that, yeah, they're not filming anytime soon, which wasn't really a surprise to me. I think for people that thought they were going to start filming this year, or, go into any of these things, but wait for it. The other thing was the reinvention. And this is a very natural thing to do. I know that there are some people saying, relax, it's just a word. And they've always reinvented Bond. And that's not untrue. They reinvent Bond all the time, whether it's the actor, the way the genre feels, the theme, the surround sound, the different characters, the different things that are happening in the world. I think, they make them very relevant to the time. That being said, I think because of No Time to Die and a very non-traditional ending and approach and Daddy Bond and all those types of things, I think the Bond fan, yes, the traditional one, is a bit shook, maybe shaken, maybe stirred. And because of that, when we see reinvention, we're like, okay, what else are you going to do now? Like, what else? What else are you planning for us? You killed Bond. We weren't exactly air punching, like the movie Maverick after No Time to Die. So what do you mean reinvent? That concern of mine didn't last long. And I'll tell you what I did. And this is a bit of a journey, right, for all of us. I called my good friend, Joe Darlington. Being James Bond, head of section, what are you doing here? Joe Darlington. And he was the epitome of calm and said, well, hold on a second, David. Reinvention. First of all, they have to say that. Of course they're going to say that, because they're not going to say, yeah, we're just going to keep on keep-oning. The other thing is, he really interprets this as a reinvention of Daniel Craig's arc. There is a lot of PR, but also I think a lot of validity and authenticity in Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson and others, even Daniel Craig, talking about the Daniel Craig arc. And a reinvention is not a bad thing, because they don't want to just make the Daniel Craig arc with somebody else other than Daniel Craig. They've got to make it about the story, the theme, where they want to take it, and yes, the actor who's going to be playing James Bond. So a reinvention, how can it not be a reinvention? I think what they're not going to do, this is part speculation and part wish. Everything's crossed. You can't see, but lower GI is crossed as well. I don't think it's about changing Bond too much. I don't think it's about even keeping the Daddy Bond essence or the overly sensitive Bond. In fact, it could be a reinvention in going back to some of the more fun, frivolity, enjoyment, pump the air, we're excited because Bond wins in the end type moments, which is a bit of a reinvention because Craig's Bond has been a fallible, um, it's the type of Bond where it's an anti-hero as opposed to a traditional hero. The Roger Moore feels more like a hero Bond as opposed to an anti-hero Bond. Maybe it's a reinvention back to that. So suddenly, between the conversation with Joe and me also just looking back on 60 years of history, I became much less concerned with the word reinvention or reinventing. I think it's a matter of, it could be even showbiz talk for we have to take stock in the things that we've seen uh, and where we go from there. Now, hope is not a strategy, but here is my hope. My hope is that Barbara Broccoli and others in that position of power to make these decisions take a page out of other successful franchises, which I won't name here because there's lots of podcasts and discussions about it. I don't need to be that person right now. But take a page out of that and think about what do fans want? What do new fans want? What do existing fans want? What do people want in an entertaining film? And there's a lot of people out there who understand what fans want. I do believe, and I will say this, and it's not the first time I've said this, that the Bond franchise has done things for some of the actors and maybe even art as opposed to thinking about the people in the seats. I think they try to play both sides. They do think about the fans and people in the seats, but they also kind of straddle all of the other impending pressures and stresses that they have. I think they can't go wrong by thinking about this as what Cubby Broccoli thought about this as pure entertainment. You know, we want to entertain an audience with this incredible character who has been established. If you look it up on Wikipedia, you have all the tropes and basics of who Bond is. So keeping all of those at its core and what Fleming set up, I think is a foundation that is really important. So it begs a question that a lot of people have talked about, and it's on my mind too. Why does it take 2 years to start filming? Now, I get pre-production. There's a lot that needs to be done. You've got to find the people. You've got to find the director. You've got to find the writers. You've got to write the story. You have to tweak. I get it. I know enough about the process to be dangerous, but I also know what I don't know. And I don't know a lot of stuff. I am not in that business. So I don't want to be that guy who, Monday morning quarterbacks and says, well, why does it take 2 years? It takes a long time. I get it. But they've had some time. So the cynical side of me, of course, I'm human, says, well, you stopped filming No Time to Die in 2019. In essence, you've already have had a few years under your belt to do these things, haven't you? And then you need an extra 2. For example, if I went into my company today and spoke to my board of directors and said, listen, I can't possibly start to think about another client until we finish everything with this client. And then I'm going to take a little break, and then I'll take a little break more, and then it'll take me a couple years, and then I can, start working on that next client. I'd be fired. But that's the frustration, I think, for many of us. The reinvention thing is something I think the Bond community is going to simmer down once they really think about the fact that we do like the reinventions. I mean, Daniel Craig was a reinvention, let's face it. And we all applaud that today. Casino Royale is my favorite movie. So I'm not bothered by the reinvention terminology. The timing is a little puzzling to me. The waiting 2 years, I can almost get, but you've already had that time. I'm hard pressed to think, I don't want to think that they haven't thought about Bond in the last 2+ years. And I know we're in a 60th anniversary, but I have a video coming out where things are kind of tripping along with that. It's not like we're getting something every day with that. I don't think it's a matter of, well, we're distracted with the 60th anniversary. We want to wait after that. And there's different people that do that, right? There's marketing arms, and then there's the creative arm. So the timing thing makes me scratch my head. The other thing, and I'm putting on my corporate business cap. I don't know if you can see there. Oh, it's on. It's invisible, but there it is. Amazon. Where? What's what's their point of view? I mean, again, speculative, of course, but um, they now own MGM, and I'm sure they're like every business waiting on return of investment, which would come from a movie. And now we've 2025, maybe 2026, somewhere within that crunchy point, then they're going to have a movie. So it begs the question of what is their point of view on this? Is it similar to the fan, where they're like, "Ugh, can we get going? Can we get started?" It is a big question, and some people have even talked about, is the reinvention of Bond possibly a segue to the custodians of Bond who have been around for 60 years, possibly taking a final bow? It was standing on the stage at the Royal Albert Hall at the premiere of No Time to Die, where Barbara Broccoli thanked Michael G. Wilson, where she talks about a reinvention and focuses on other things that Eon and Downjack are doing. Is this a doffing and a bow? And a reinvention is to be heralded, to be shepherded by somebody else that will come along and maybe buy the franchise. Again, we do not know. I have got negative inside information, but I don't want anybody freaking out. These are thoughts that people are having because we are human and we are so passionate about this series. I've seen people say, why are people even talking about this? Why are they getting up in arms? Because we're passionate. These are things we're going to talk about. This is big news. And some of us can be upset. Some of us can be excited. I've seen wonderful posts about people saying, good, we want them to take their time. They sort of said that with No Time to Die as well. So, results will vary depending on the amount of time that you take. But to me, it's not about time. All right. And it's not even about a redefinition or a reinventing of Bond. To me, it is about sitting back and really making sure you know who Bond is, and who Bond is to your audience, and how can Bond exist successfully in the world that we live. And to me, it's not about updating and changing the character. To me, it's about creating elements that have been exciting and true to what people want to be entertained with for eons. Excuse the pun, or accept the pun. I think there's something very basic about what people love in Bond: the escapism, the heroism, the absolute fantasy of it all, the smiling, the being catapulted into something that we know isn't real, but we're taken along for a ride, or we like to be driven, one or the other. So, my hope in whatever happens post this piece of news is, number one, let's not be that old man that yells at the storm coming. The storm's coming. It's going to rain on him, but he still yells and throws a rock at it, thinking that will stop it. We, me, you, have no influence whatsoever on this. It's great to talk about it. It's cathartic. It's therapeutic. I think we should keep discussing it. And I love all opinions, and they're all welcome. You know where the comments are. But also keep this in perspective. We're still in a celebratory year for the 60th anniversary. We're still doing these type of things and connecting with people. What I don't want people to do is become disheartened. I don't want them to feel that this is a tainting or a mar against the franchise. It isn't, because we don't know what it is. It's the psychology of worrying about something that hasn't happened yet. All that it is that somebody, yes, the owner of the franchise, has set a certain expectation. Could it be Quantum of Solace misdirection? Could there be a lot of things going on right now? But this is what we're going to be saying from a PR standpoint. It's possible. But you see, there's so much out there that has a possibility. There's one thing we know today, 100%. We have 25 films. I don't know how many books, new books coming out. video games, brands, more of these content moments. We've got so much to be excited about. So take in the news, gather your opinion, and if it bothers you, slough it off and rejoice in what we do have today. The certainty that this is a franchise, it's a hobby that we can all rally around and get excited about. And I think I've got a long 4-day weekend. I'm going to watch a Bond movie, maybe a Timothy Dalton. Ooh, look at me go. That's the crazy in all of us. Anyway, small little blurb on this. Just wanted to connect on the bit of news. Love your opinion on this. And in the meantime, this has been David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. We'll see you real soon. Take care. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.